FM. Yes, the show where we talk strictly politics. Of course, we look at what is happening in the political space and we'll bring it to the roundtable here on mainland 98.3 to dissect, discuss, and of course, break it down so that, of course, we can have a complete understanding of some of the issues. I always say that the biggest job for me preparing for this show is looking at all the issues in the political space and picking maybe just two or three out of all of them because they always look all interesting. But because of time, we just have to focus on maybe two or three that we consider very, very important at this time. And that's what we will be doing today on the show. Yes, we will be looking at three updates, in the political space. Barrister Curtis Adigba will be joining me via the phone line as usual, and then already have sitting there with me in the studio Nuruddin Adegbero. Is a journalist and I call him a grassroots advocate when it comes to grassroots politics in the Agege area of Lagos. He's also the publisher of hotnewsnaija.com. Is that correct? All right. Very, very passionate when it comes to grassroots politics, local government politics, and local government development, especially in the Agege area of Lagos. It's nice to have you in the studio this evening, Nuruddin.
Well, good evening to our listeners. Good evening too. And what a day to be on the political roundtable. 89 days, 13 hours, 56 minutes to 2023 general election.
I like the fact that you're breaking down. So it's getting very, very close. I think last week we were talking about 100 days to the elections. Now we have it less than 90 days to the general elections in the year 2023. February 25 to be precise for the presidential election is getting very, very close. Barrister Curtis Adigba is already with me via the phone line. Good evening, Barrister.
Good evening to you.
Yes.
And good evening to listeners on the program.
It's nice to have you on the show this evening, Barrister.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here.
All right. We have three issues for consideration on the show. We'll make it interactive, but I think we'll spend more time really dissecting the issues this evening. The first one, I think last week we did a bit of regional analysis of the standing of the frontline presidential candidates. And today, I think we'll be streamlining it the more, looking at three battleground states of Lagos, Rivers, and Kano State. Atiku, Tinubu, Kwankwanso, and Peter Obi are all in a serious battle for these three key states. These three states are considered by political pundits as what you call the battleground states because, of course, of the number of votes that is currently available for picks in these three states. Out of 96.2 million registered voters for the 2023 general elections, these three states alone account for 16.5 million votes. So I think we can all agree that that's very, very huge. If a presidential candidate is able, for example, to perform very well in these three states, one would assume that, of course, he or she may just be coasting home to victory. But in this dispensation, we are looking at four as frontline presidential candidates in the general elections, and that's Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC, Rabiu Kwankwanso of the NNPP, and Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party. We have 89 days to the elections in the year 2023 as a presidential election. And now, if we want to break it further, of the 16.5 million registered votes that would come from these three states, Lagos has 7,075,192 registered voters. Kano has 5,927,565 votes, registered voters. And then Rivers has 3,532,990 votes, registered voters for the 2023 presidential elections in terms of the number of votes that is up for grabs. Now, what we'll be doing on the show this evening is to look at the current standing of these four candidates in these three states. In Lagos, for example, what is the current standing of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who a lot of people believe is the Lagos landlord when it comes to politics? His influence has been there since 1999 till date, as governor, and then of course as someone who a lot of people believe has always handpicked, who eventually became governor in Lagos State. Is seen as a major player in the politics of Lagos State, and we'll be asking ourselves what are his current standings and what are the threats to that particular standing of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We also have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the PDP. A lot of people believe that he will be riding on the performance or the influence of Mr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran, popularly known as Jandor, in Lagos, to do the grassroots work for him and bring out the votes. If there are other factors, we will also consider on the show. And then Mr. Peter Obi, that seems to have the momentum of the Labour Party, and the fact that a lot of new set of voters, a lot of people who want to get involved, seems to be behind him. We need to consider and ask ourselves what is his current standing in Lagos, Kano, and Rivers State. And of course, we need to also look at Rabiu Kwankwanso of the NNPP, who recently issued a statement saying, look, he is not bothered by pundits and predictions of people. He's going to win the election at the first ballot. So we'll be looking at these four candidates and seeing what influence they hold in these the three states of Lagos, Kano, and Rivers State. The second issue for consideration on the roundtable this evening, again, as we look at politicians, their activities, the campaigns, it's important that we look at the political umpire. INEC has continued to assure us that the elections will be free and fair. In fact, the promise is that it's going to be the best elections ever in the history of Nigeria. But political watchers are still worried about recent happenings, and then some of the things that INEC may have to confront as challenges. Some of them include the issue of insecurity. In recent time, we've seen attacks on INEC offices in the southwest. There's also the issue of corrupt officials. Some of the officials of INEC seems to have even manipulated the registration process, where we've seen underage voters and all of that. So if they can manipulate the registration process, what of the voting process in itself? And then the issue of PVC distribution logistics. As we speak, INEC is yet to distribute effectively PVCs of new registrants. But while preparing for this show, INEC issued a press release just this morning addressing these issues. The first was that, look, the PVCs will be distributed anytime soon, and what they've said is that Lagos, from the 28th of November to the 2nd of December 22, that they were going to have a summit, and after that all the PVCs will be distributed. There's also an update on some of his corrupt officials that there have been arrests of some people, and then of course they are ready to prosecute. Maybe when we get to the INEC issue, I'll read out the entire press release so that we understand what INEC is saying about the distribution of the PVCs. But the summary is that they will still distribute the PVC. So for everybody asking us to bring INEC officials, we've tried to reach out to them, but at least some of the things we are getting at these press releases, explaining some of the questions we would have loved to ask them. So if you've not gotten your PVC, just keep calm. INEC is saying that the PVCs would eventually be distributed sometime in December. The last issue on the roundtable this evening is Ademola Jackson Adeleke is the new governor of Osun State. A lot of dancing, I'm sure, will be happening in Ede and Oshogbo, the state house, as we speak. The dancing senator is eventually been sworn in as governor. So he is the 6th governor of Osun State. The first, incidentally, was his brother, the military administrator, but in terms of democratically elected governor, he's the 6th. The first being his brother, the Sherubawan himself, Isiaka Adeleke, the late Isiaka Adeleke, who only ruled from 1992 to 1993, the SDP NLC period. And then, of course, you have Mr. Chief Bisi Akonde, and then Olaguson Yinola, Rauf Aregbesola, Gboyega Oyetola, and then now Ademola Jackson Adeleke as the 6th governor of Osun State. He's made some statements today. He's frozen the accounts of the state. He's reversed some policies. The idea of the state now being called the state of Osun, instead of Osun State. He said, look, it has to be called Osun State, not the state of Osun. He's talking tough. He's talking about, a lot of reforms, infrastructure, and a whole lot of them. But beyond all of the promises, it's the first day in office. We need to ask ourselves, what are the challenges ahead of the new governor of Osun State? There are still a lot of legal battles for him to face. The tribunals are still sitting, and it may go through the wire. It may get to the Supreme Court. What are also the issue of governance in Osun State? That a lot of people consider purely a civil service state. Would he be able to pull it through? And then the other issues of politics. How does he place politics, for example? Because Osun State is one state that has been very volatile in the southwest. From the era of Olagusi Oyinlola, even from the days of Chibisi Akonde, who was not able to get a second term, to Olagusi Oyinlola that eventually lost during his second term in a court ruling, to even Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, who brought in a predecessor, supported him, and again fell apart with him. And then we have Adeleke Jackson, now the governor. So we need to look at Osun politics and see if he has what it takes really to paddle through the turbulent waters of politics in Osun State. So those are the three issues for consideration on the roundtable this day. We'll go straight to the first issue. Lagos, Rivers, Kano State, 16.5 million votes up for grabs. What are the standings of each of these candidates in Lagos, Rivers, and Kano as we speak? By Curtis Adigba, let us look at regional standing of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because I want us to be a bit methodical in our analysis this evening. Let us look at Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Lagos, in Rivers State, and in Kano State. What are the odds for and against him as we get close to the elections in 2023?
All right, thank you. As you understand, I'd like to start out by reminding you that our election turnout in Nigeria has never been 50%. If you look at the accurate data coming in from previous elections we've had in the country. And so, though these three states might give you 16-point-something million votes, it's not likely that on election day, the three states combined will bring out 8 million votes.
Looking at what has happened in the past, eh?
Yes. In 2019, registered voters in Lagos was 6.3 million. But less than 1 million elected the governor. As hot as the contest was, okay, less than 1 million Lagosians voted to elect their governor. So, if you apply that to 2023, right, even with all the tension and the aggravation and all that, we are still not likely to see 50%. If we cross 50, probably we'll be talking about 50, 60, right? So, but I can always say, and I'll continue to say this, Lagos is going to be won by Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu. You know why I like to?
That's your.
You know why I like to? You know why I like to call him Asiwaju? Because it's a bigger title than Jagaban. People like Jagaban, but Jagaban is just a title of a small community in Niger State. But when you say it's the Asiwaju, it's the Asiwaju of Lagos and the entire Southwest. So it's a bigger title. But I think we like the pronunciation of Jagaban. More. Now, having said that, okay, given the fact that we saw an upsurge in the registration in Lagos, mostly by one demographic, young people. People have speculated that the young people who are pouring out to the streets and registering in large numbers, right? They have been doing so because of their support for another candidate, Peter Obi.
Majorly Peter Obi, yeah.
Majorly Peter Obi. But Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will win Lagos, but by what margin, I don't know. Okay? Because the highest turnout we ever had in Lagos was during Fashola.
Which is just a little over 1 million votes.
Yes, over a million votes, So let's hope that, because of the increased interest in the political development of the country, right, that a lot of people will come out. Yesterday, I had to join the queue to buy petrol, okay? And of course, in such meetings, you are going to hear all kind of political conversation. And I found out that the guys who were more vocal on the issue, when I asked them which party they were going to vote for, they told me they never voted all their lives. And this time around, they are not going to vote. So I'm saying to them, by not voting, you are voting. You understand? Where do you draw this strength and the energy from? To pontificate on the politics of the country so much.
Talk, when you talk and don't vote eventually.
When you don't participate in it, So let's go to River State. The situation is more complex.